Hi there, my name is Gabriel Igbere. I'm also known as the Finance Catalyst. I am a Christian, an entrepreneur, and I'm the current host of the program Fintacts, where we talk about financial matters. Welcome on board. If you've not yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Kindly hit the subscribe button below this channel, like this video, share with your friends, let people know that we're talking about financial matters, things that are very important to your well-being, your financial health, and your financial wellness. So like I said in my last video, I'm actually going to be sharing with you 6 important steps on how you could create a personal budget. Budgeting in finance is something that is very, very, very important. It's something that you cannot ignore, especially when it comes to your personal finance. You have to be intentional about budgeting. You know, budgeting is something that gives you a clear picture, a scope of your financial activities, because you get to understand what your spending habits is all about, how much you earn on a monthly basis. You get to really understand what is the scope of your financial activities. So budgeting is something you cannot ignore. If you're not yet listening to my video or watched my video where I actually talked about the steps you need to follow in order to create a healthy financial plan, kindly do so, because in one of those steps I talked about creating a budget and the importance of actually having a budget. A budget is really important when it comes to your finances, and it cannot be ignored. It cannot be ignored. So I'm going to be talking to you now about the 6 steps that are important and that should be followed when creating a personal budget. So number 1, you have to gather all your financial paperworks. You might want to ask, what does this actually mean? So what I'm saying when it comes to gathering your financial paperwork, you have to actually gather all the information that is related to your financial activities for that month. So you have to gather all the information that is related to your monthly financial activities. So it could be your bank statement, it could be your utility bills, it could be your invoices for fixed expenses that you have to pay. It could be like rental income or some water bills. It could be something that has to do with your internet, bills and all that. Gather all the necessary information that is related to your financial activity for that month. That is the first step that you need to take note of. Number 2, you need to calculate your income. So I know several people, it depends on your personal activities. Some people actually work, they're employed. Some people actually have their own businesses that they run. Some people are actually doing the both. Some people could actually be a freelance or what they call the freelancers. This is really important for you to take note. Number 2, you need to calculate all your incomes. So all the money you receive on a monthly basis, you need to have a record of them. So you have to calculate them, write them down, know how much is coming from where. Have this in writing. It's always important when it comes to your finance, like I said, to be very intentional. Know exactly how much you are earning, put them down in writing, have them calculated in a very numerical order, and then you have the sum total. This is the second thing you need to do. Number 3, you have to create a list of all your monthly expenses. This is very important. So after you've done the calculation of your income, you know how much you've acquired for that month, what you've earned. You now have to have a list of all your current expenses, your monthly expenses for that month. Your monthly expenses may include things that you have to pay for. It could be water bills, electricity bills. It could be some form of entertainment expense. It could be travel expense. It could be any form of expense that you have to spend money on. Your savings also has to be inculcated into that part of your expense, because there's a certain amount of money that you are allocating in your budget to savings as well. So it's important to have a list of all your monthly expenses. You have to be intentional about this. You have to be intentional about this, because most people, what they do is that they just earn money and then they just spend without really having proper record of how they spend their money. And that's why you see that some people get to the middle of the week and they are already exhausted. They're always talking about, I don't know how I earned so much money, and then in the middle of the month, it's not even up to the end of the month yet. I cannot really explain how my money how I spent my money. It's very important to be intentional when it comes to your finances. So like I said, you have to have a list of all your monthly expenses, from the least important, no matter how small it is. You have to have a list. You have to write it down. You have to be intentional about it. That is number 3. That's what you need to do. So number 4, you then have to determine your fixed and your variable expenses. So after you've outlined the list of all your monthly expenses, from that list, you now have to determine which one is actually my fixed expense and which one is my variable expense. Some people might want to ask me what is fixed expense and what is variable expense. So fixed expense is actually an expense that is fixed. The amount is fixed. So it could be like your rent. Like for example, your rent could be a fixed amount that you pay every month to your landlord or to your tenant, or it could be some other form of bills, like let's say electricity, not electricity, maybe like your internet bills, for example. It could be fixed. You could have other form of expenses that are actually fixed. So the amount you receive, you have to pay every month. So in terms of invoicing, it's fixed. This is what I mean by fixed expense. Then talking about your variable expense is an expense that depends. It's not fixed. It's something that might depend on the kind of activity you do for that month. So for example, your grocery shopping. Your groceries cannot be fixed because sometimes it depends on how much things you need at that point in time, or how much quantity of stuff you are getting. So that is one form of variable expense. For example, entertainment expense can also be variable because you don't have a fixed amount allocated to entertainment. You might decide that today I want to go to see a movie, tomorrow I don't want to. I want to go to maybe hang out with some friends and just have a couple of drinks. These are all variable expenses that you might encounter. So it's very important that you determine and you differentiate between your fixed and variable expenses when you outline all the list of your monthly expenses. So number 5 is actually having your total income and your total expenses for the month. So summing them up, having what's your total income and what's your total expense. This is very, very important. You have to be intentional about that. So when you've had your total income and your total expense, try to see which one outweighs which one. It's very, very important. Try to see if your income outweighs your expense or your expense outweighs your income. This is very important because this is what the whole purpose of budgeting gives you. This is how you get to have a more clear picture as to how your spending habits and your income activities looks like. So this is very important. This point. Make sure you don't forget this. When you've had the sum total of both your income and your expense, it's important to see which one outweighs which. This is very important. So having said all that, the next thing you want to do, which takes me to my final point, number 6, if your income outweighs your expense in your budget, it's very, very interesting. It's nice because you have more income to allocate to some other parts of your budget. But when your expense outweighs your income, then you have to make an adjustment to your expenses. This is number 6. You have to make an adjustment to your expenses because it's really important to note when it comes to budget. Honesty is very, very key. You have to be honest with yourself as to how your spending habits are. You have to be honest with yourself as to what is the total amount of income you receive on a monthly basis. This gives you a clearer picture of how to manage your budget. It's very important. Your budget gives you a clear picture on your financial health. So it's more like you need to take your budgeting seriously. Be intentional about it. Be as honest as possible about your spending habit, your spending activities. This is very key to having a very healthy budget. So that being said, I want to go through the 6 important steps you could follow to get a very effective budget for yourself. Number 1, I actually say gather all the financial paperwork. Like I said, your bank statements, invoices, and so on. Make sure you have all the information of all your expenses, documents that relates to your financial activities for that month. Number 2, you need to calculate your income. Know how much income you receive on a monthly basis. This is very important. Have it in your mind. Write it down. Make sure you're intentional about it. Know all the incomes you get to receive on a monthly basis. So after you've done that, number 3, I actually talked about having a list of all your expenses for that month, your monthly expenses. Have a list. Know all the expenses you are to embark on that month. Number 4, I talked about distinguishing or differentiating between your fixed expense and your variable expense, and I actually talked about what a fixed expense is and what a variable expense is. After you've done that, number 5, you have to total, like I said, total your income and your expense. Have the total amount, the total balance of your income and your expense. And number 6, I talked about making an adjustment to your expense. So that means you have to make an adjustment if there is if your expense outweighs your income, because normally your income should be more than your expense, so you can have some extra funds to allocate some important things around your budget. So these are the 6 points you need to follow. I hope this video was beneficial to you. If you've not yet subscribed to my channel, I will encourage you to do so. Share this video with your friends, comment, like. Most especially, I would love to get your feedbacks. Let me know if these videos are beneficial to you. I would love to know what you think about these videos. I'm so excited that you're on board with me, getting to be involved, getting to be a part of the videos that I share, because I know these are very important things financially that people really need to get to know. So until I see you again in my next video, I'm going to be talking about something very interesting. You don't want to miss it. So anticipate that. Until I see you again in my next video, stay financially healthy, always stay financially safe. God bless you, and see you in my next video. Cheers. Bye.